The country is facing wars abroad. Israel, Ukraine. Are you ready to address foreign policy challenges?
Absolutely. I've served on the Foreign Affairs Committee now for 5 years. I'm the ranking member of the Middle East, North Africa, Central Asia Subcommittee. Been to the Middle East twice this year. I'm well aware of the circumstances, well aware of what the solutions are, and let me assure everybody that if we don't unite with our allies, America can't do this alone. We have to walk softly but carry a very big stick. We've got the most extraordinary arsenal in the entire world, and I'd like to see us invest even more in diplomacy. Because if we don't lead with diplomacy, then we are in trouble.
There are tensions inside your party on Israel. How would you address them?
I think Israel is one of the most remarkable nations in the world. It is the only Jewish majority nation in the entire world. It is the only place where Jews can actually escape to and seek refuge in times of pogroms or holocausts. The Jewish community in this country right now is feeling very under attack, and it's very acute right now. But Israel is our ally. That's the most important part. Israel is a democracy. Israel is a progressive nation that takes care of its people. Israel has Jews, Muslims, and Christians living side by side. It's a beautiful mosaic. Those who have been there know that well. It's also a country at great risk right now. It's also a country that I have some significant disagreements about policy. The settlements, for example. I have great passion for human beings. I don't know why everybody who's talking about these issues doesn't express humanity first. The Palestinians need a homeland. They need self-determination. The only way that Israel is ever safe and secure is if there are two countries side by side living in peace with prosperity and security. Both peoples deserve that. And Hamas is not the answer. Hamas is a terrorist organization. Hamas is the enemy of Israel. They're the enemy of Palestinians. And I know we can solve this. And I would like to work with the Saudis, who are this close to normalizing with Israel. And if we don't redouble our efforts right now and ensure that whatever results from that peace agreement doesn't include a Palestinian state, then we've failed.
How does your faith shape your own politics?
I believe deeply in God. All the Abrahamic faiths, every one of the Abrahamic faiths, every faith I know prays to a higher order. Every faith I know says you should treat your fellow human being with love, with respect. Every faith I know says you should help those who are struggling. Every faith I know says you should protect those around you, not demean them, not attack them. Every faith I know says lead with joy, with love, not with anger. So every faith I know embodies America. The Jewish faith, the Muslim faith, the Christian faith. We may think differently, but that's what makes this place remarkable. So we should celebrate those things. And as president, that's exactly what I will do. I'm the most bipartisan member of Congress. Not because I always vote with Republicans, it's because I work with Republicans. It's because I listen to Republicans. It's because I listen to conservatives and believe there are some very important ideas that the conservative movement still can offer.
Some Democrats don't like it when you do that.
That's a problem. And you know what? And Republicans don't like it when their own do it. I've got colleagues who have been attacked on television in primaries, Republicans, because of simply being a friend of mine. There is nothing less patriotic, nothing less American than demeaning someone because they would be so ridiculous to have a conversation with someone who feels differently. If we don't do more of that, then we're in trouble. And let me tell you, the first day in Congress, I thought we would be brought together. I thought Kevin McCarthy, Nancy Pelosi would put us at a table, tell our life stories, go do a ropes course, build some trust. And what do?
You had that expectation of Congress?
Yeah, isn't that funny? Don't you think every one of the 300+ million Americans would expect their United States Congress
Reporters
to
would,
know each other?
Maybe
Well,
others would.
There's the disconnect. Instead, we're put on separate buses, going to separate events. The systematic segregation of Democrats from Republicans is exactly what's wrong with our country. And if it starts in the Congress, of course it's going to be true throughout the country. I love my Republican colleagues. Not all of them, most of them. I would ask, and I believe that many of them love us too. And as president, I'm going to make the White House the people's house. Bring in Democrats and Republicans, everyday Americans from around the country. Come to the House.
Why are you running for president?
Because I need to. I feel so much love for our country. I feel it slipping away. I never imagined in my lifetime that I'd have the concerns that I have about our country right now. And I know it's shared by a massive, exhausted majority. And the people that I'm talking about, who I see and hear from every single day, have a choice. Either stay at home during the primary voting day or come out and register your perspective.
President Biden says
Healthcare
Bidenomics is the way to go. Do you disagree?
I think Bidenomics, first of all, let me say the underlying legislation of Bidenomics, I think has been helpful to the country. It is a beginning, but by no means is it the end. And there's a lot more to do. And making America affordable begins with a lot of work. Why should corporations be afforded better tax benefits than working families? Right? Why should healthcare in America literally cost double than anywhere else in the entire world? Why should Americans actually go bankrupt, take on medical debt because they have a broken leg, because their child is sick, or they need to take care of a parent? We are the only nation in the world like that. We're the only nation experiencing gun violence like we do here.
I know this tragedy in Maine, it's got the whole country on edge.
Sure.
Dozens killed. What would you do to solve the trauma and the problem of gun violence in America?
Start with data. The Gun Violence Project in Minnesota, Jillian Peterson, James Densley, I think two of the foremost researchers into gun violence in America. Congress doesn't use a lot of data sometimes, it saddens me. Let's go to the people who actually study this. They've got propositions, red flag laws, and investing in emotional and mental health. We do not have a health system in America. We have a sick care system. And we do not have a mental health system. We have to build one. I believe one of the great imperatives right now is to literally construct a mental and emotional health system in America for children, for adults. It will solve so many of our problems. It will reduce gun violence. It will afford people outstanding lives, possibilities. It will reduce suicide. I also believe that weapons of war, semi-automatic weapons that can create mass carnage in a matter of moments, the same tools that we give our soldiers all around the world, the country has to have a conversation about who can acquire those. I own a gun. I own a gun. I believe in the Second Amendment. I'm not going to come after anybody's guns. But those who own guns have even a bigger responsibility to join the conversation about keeping our kids safe. Because if you're sitting at home with an AR-15, I know you do not want your children killed any more than I want mine.
CBS News polling shows that many Americans are frustrated with the president's handling of the border. What would you do to address that crucial issue for many Americans?
I never make a decision until I see it with my own eyes. I've been there twice to the southern border. It is embarrassing, it's horrifying, it's disgusting, and it's appalling that Democratic and Republican administrations for generations have ignored this crisis. We spend billions of dollars a year around the world, and we should be investing in the countries from which migrants are coming to make them safer, provide security. We can build dorms, we can build compounds and housing for thousands of people as they're having their cases adjudicated. If we keep people safe where they are, they will not feel compelled to come here.
Many Democrats alarmed about abortion rights believe they're being restricted nationwide in an aggressive way by Republicans. What do you say to Democrats and others who are worried about abortion rights being affected?
That I will fiercely protect them. Abortion should be safe, it should be legal, and it should be rare. Another great example of how we should work together, Democrats and Republicans, progressives and conservatives, to reduce abortion. It should be legal. I believe in freedom. I think if anybody believes in freedom, that seems incongruent with the notion of literally telling an American woman what she can do with her body. I can't understand that notion. I do understand why people want to reduce abortion. So again, two things can be true at once, and I think that's a perfect example of how I think the American president should address this issue. Because I understand both perspectives, but it absolutely must be protected, fiercely protected, and I will do so.
President Biden has decided to bypass New Hampshire. He's not even going to be on the ballot, but you're going to run hard in New Hampshire?
Of course. New Hampshire has a 103-year tradition of being the first in the nation primary. It's where candidates get in front of the voters in the snow, walk across the state. It's a beautiful tradition. I think it's one of the most important traditions in America. If you are a traditionalist, you should appreciate that. I think every potential American president should start in New Hampshire.
But even if you win New Hampshire, you're not going to win delegates for the Democratic National Convention.
I would argue that if the Democratic Party chooses not to seat delegates from New Hampshire, the Democratic Party can no longer argue that it favors democracy.
You believe you're going to win New Hampshire?
I do. It's not up to me. It's up to New Hampshire folks. I believe so, and I just want to meet them. I want to answer their questions. You know, it's time for American presidents to get back with people, face them, face to face, listen to them, take their criticism. It is the job of the American president and anyone who aspires to that office, the most powerful office in the entire world, to do exactly that.
Did President Biden make a mistake by skipping New Hampshire?
That's his choice. I guess the time will tell if he did or not. Either way, that's not my choice, that's his. I deeply respect that tradition, and that's why I'm going there to start. It's just a beginning. I can't wait to visit other states and introduce myself to other people. And I think it's time that the American president, those who aspire to that office, spend more time with people, less time with consultants, less time ensconced in the White House, less time looking at just the polls about what they should do, have to be honest, have to listen. Most importantly, listen to Americans who have ideas. The best ideas I've ever heard since I've been in Congress have not come from the very people whose job it is to create them.
To all the naysayers out there, what's your message? What's your response?
There have been naysayers in world history, naysayers about the founding of our country, naysayers during the Civil War, naysayers about just about every great success in world history. That's part of the deal. There are naysayers that felt the earth was flat, right? That's fine. I love being a long shot. I like being the underdog. At the end of the day, let's just let American voters decide what is in their best interest, what's in our country's best interest. But to deny them, to deny American voters a choice, as someone who favors choice, who loves the freedom to make a selection, I would say, let's have more people run for office, not fewer. And I love long shots, because if you don't start as a long shot, you don't get no shot.